really just taking student questions today. So in the next few minutes, just kind of think up of some questions you may have had about playing music, and I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. I guess just to start out our session today, I want to talk about real quick with people. I've had some students contact me and say that they are a little bit frustrated learning because they feel a little overwhelmed. And then I also heard that they have struggles concentrating for longer periods of time, or when they start putting things hands together, it just doesn't work for them, and they're struggling a lot with it. I have one piece of advice that I think covers all of these things, and it's to simplify what you're doing. So the thing is if you are, let me see here actually, just the piano here. So say you are learning your scales and you're putting them hands together. And it's just not working out so well. Well, you can simplify it in a ton of ways. Get creative in how you can simplify it. Obviously, you can break it down hand separate. You can play it slower. That's a great way of simplifying it. You can, well, those two are, I guess, are the best way. Or when you put it hands together, do it note by note. So that is just one example. If you're struggling with reading music, what I would do, what a lot of students struggle with when they're first learning how to read music, is they take a look at the lines of the treble clef, and then the spaces of the treble clef, and lines of the bass clef, and spaces of the bass clef. And sure, some of us can handle all four of those, learning all those in one day, practicing them and not getting them confused. But what happens for a lot of us is that we will start learning these, and then we will almost overcomplicate things and get ourselves all frustrated because we're not sure, was that the lines of the treble clef or lines of the bass clef again? We get confused. So like I said, simplify, I think, is the key word if you're feeling frustrated. Spend just a week on the lines of the treble clef. Make sure you know those like the back of your hand. And then practice the spaces of the treble clef for another week. I mean, obviously, every week that goes by, you also want to be practicing what you did before so you don't forget, but just add things in layers rather than all at once. If you feel like you're overwhelmed, then you want to kind of step back from it and think about it and simplify what you're doing. So I just wanted to share that with you since I think that was pretty relevant for today. Let's take a look here. Howdy, says Kitty Cub 16. Welcome to our live stream. So happy you could make it out with us today. Fuddy Duddy says most of us are retired. The scales and chords made it for me on the guitar. I assume they can also help me on the piano as well. So yes, scales and chords are very, very important. In fact, Friday's lesson, we're talking about 5 things that I really noticed through my teaching that students often forget to add into their practice. They may know what these things are, but they're not practicing them on a regular basis. And actually, some of these things you might even not know about. So I highly recommend you check us out Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when that lesson will be. It's a great lesson. I put a lot of time into it again, just like I did the one from the week before. Since it's summertime, I have a little bit more time to put into these lessons. So I really highly recommend you check out Friday's lesson. I'm really excited for it, and I hope you are as well. Okay, let's take a look here. Okay, not many questions here yet. So I'm going to think of something else to talk about while some questions come in here. If you are watching the recording of this and you have a question, feel free to leave it in the comments to this video because I'd be more than happy to help you out and point you in the right direction. Okay, let's take a look. So, one thing, let's talk about chords a little bit. Oh man, I'm all mixed up today. Let's see. Yeah, I think we were fine the way we were before. Okay, so I do have a question. I have a really good question here, actually. Let's go back to the chat. Ed says, related to the lesson of Chord Trainer 1, the chord inversions, could you tell us about the fingering for those triad chords, root and inversion, for both hands? Many thanks. Yes, absolutely. I can help you out with that. So when you're playing root position triads, let's bring this back to the piano here. The fingering for the right hand is 1, 3, 5. And let me make sure. I'm pretty sure this is true for every root position triad there is, whether it's major, minor, diminished. Augmented's a little different. Okay, so for major, minor, and diminished chords, it's all 1, 3, 5. But when you do augmented, well, you can do 1, 3, 5. I was going to say maybe you should move to 2, but no, that works out fine. So, yeah, never mind. Augmented chords have 1, 3, 5 as well. Now, when you were doing the inversions, so say this is just the right hand so far. When we invert it by bringing the bottom note, keeping the 2 notes where they are, and moving the bottom note up an octave, you change the order of the notes, also known as an inversion. First inversion triads are 1, 2, 5. And I believe that's true with any first inversion triad. So far it's root 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, and then 1, 2, 5, and then second inversion, is 1, 3, 5 again, and then 1, 3, 5. So I would think about it like this. All of them are 1, 3, 5, except first inversion. So root position and second inversion are 1, 3, 5, and then first inversion is 1, 2, 5, because when you have a first inversion chord, you have a bigger space at the top of the chord there. And then when you have second inversion, it's not a big deal because the spacing kind of works out with your third finger there. So that's what I recommend. With your left hand in the bass clef, it's just the opposite. It's 5, 3, 1. And then for first inversion, it's 5, 3, 1. But then with second inversion in your left hand, it's 5, 2, 1. So one way to remember this is just to look at the gap in your hands and where your fingers fall naturally. So if I'm doing second inversion with the bass clef, my left hand, it wouldn't make as much sense to do 1 for 5, 3, 1, because it feels like my hand is cramping up towards one side. You want your hand always fairly spread out between the keys, and actually it's a lot easier to have a gap between your thumb and this finger than it is towards any of the other fingers. You can as you can see, they just don't open as wide anywhere else. So if you're going to have a gap, I would have it between 1 and 2. So use what makes sense, but that's how it goes. 5, 3, 1, 5, 3, 1, 5, 2, 1. And that's how I would do it. And that is true for all of the triads and all the inversions. Okay, let's take a look here at our questions. Thanks. First one I have been on. I have problems with trying to read sheet music and playing at the same time, and I have problems with different speeds on each hand. How can I improve? This is a really great question. So what I would do is, we talked a little bit earlier about how to improve at note reading. If you feel overwhelmed with that, break it down and then learn one of the clefs and one of the lines or spaces per week. But if you're past that, say, you can remember them fairly well, and it's really just hitting the rubber to the road, being able to read the sheet music and play at the same time, which can be very difficult as a beginner, because when you're at the very beginning stages of the piano, you don't really have an idea on how the keys are laid out intrinsically. Like me, I can pretty much play, let me see, is this an A flat major chord? And it is. I didn't have to look at the piano. I could just kind of feel my way there and do it that way. And I don't even have to look down at the piano, so that allows me to look at the sheet music. But it took me a long time to get there, because obviously as a beginner you can't do that. You don't have that skill yet unless you're a prodigy or something like that, or you're especially gifted. A lot of us have to either look down and then, and then look up. So it takes a little bit more time. One major thing I want you to do when you're practicing this from now on is, whatever piece you're playing, slow it way, way down. And what that will do, obviously, other than giving you more time to process the notes, it will also allow you to glance down at the keyboard real quick and then back up at the sheet music and still play in time. Because in the beginning, it's unrealistic to think that you're going to be able to play the right note without even looking all the time. Like I said, it takes time to develop the skill of knowing how the keyboard's laid out. So that's how I would tackle it, is playing the piece much slower and then glancing down at where you're going to move next, but then mostly keeping your eyes on the music. And then as time goes by, you want to get more and more accustomed to looking just at the music, and then, and then finding where you are on the keyboard without looking as much. Now, this takes time, like I mentioned a few times already. So it's something that if it doesn't come right away, don't be too discouraged. But in general, you want to wean yourself off of looking at your hands all the time. And like I said, the first week, maybe you can't help that. And you want to look at the music more and more. But it's not something you can just jump to and do right away. It's something that you'll have to do gradually. And slow practice, I think, is the way to go. Let's take a look here. And then let me see here. I have problems with different speeds on each hand. How can I improve on that? That was the second part of the question. Same thing. Slow down. If you feel like you can't keep up with one hand or one hand's moving faster than the other, slow both of them down so you can approach it that way. The number one mistake students make when they practice is they play too fast, or they start out slow, but they kind of move on a little too fast to the faster playing, and they just can't handle it as well. So I suggest slowing everything down quite a bit, maybe for a week or a couple of weeks, until you can play it accurately, slowly. Once you can achieve that, then you can start to increase your tempo on the piece you're working on. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Dave Binder says, hey Tim, where can I find the live stream from Friday? So the live stream from Friday is actually, this is how the channel works. I guess I should explain this. It's probably a good idea. Let me bring up the channel real quick, and then I'll change us over to there so I can show you what's happening. All right, so just give me a second here. Oh, hey, we're meeting live right now. How about that? So if you click on the lessons on the web channel, it will obviously take you to our channel page. So here's the thing. Here's the big difference from what's going on with the channel now compared to a few months ago. What I was doing a few months ago is we were doing the live streams, and then I was taking clips of the live streams and putting them together in a lesson that would come out once a week. Well, I had to find a way to do things more efficiently. That's the perfect word for it. I had to find a way to do things more efficiently so I could spend more time developing the lessons themselves. So what I decided to do was combine the live stream and the lesson together. So what happens is that on Fridays and Sundays we meet for a live stream. And then after the live stream, you might not see the video for a little while. That's because I'm editing out all the parts where if I'm sneezing or, there's long lengths of nothing or something, melts down or has a problem, a hardware or software problem. So that's what I'm doing, the few hours after we have the live stream. And then you'll see the lesson posted actually, and not the link to the live stream. But that is the live stream. So I've combined both of them now. So if you go to the channel page, which we're on right now, Friday's live stream that we did is this one, Piano Songs to Learn for Beginners Developing Hand Coordination. So if you click on that, you'll notice that the beginning of the lesson is just the lesson portion. And then we still have the Q&A in the lesson. I've trimmed it down a little bit, but that's where it is. So the lessons that come out now are actually the recordings from the live stream, and they're no longer separate. I think it's working out a bit better that way, and that way it's kind of best of both worlds and saves me a bit of time so I can work on some other really important things with the channel. Okay, let's take a look here. And then the one from Sunday, we didn't have a live stream on Sunday. That's kind of why I'm doing this now. I wanted to catch up with everybody, get some questions in here, and do a live stream today. What is, hold on a second. Varun says, I'm a beginner in piano, and I've been practicing Bansuri, Indian flute. Okay, for the past 4 years. My question is like improvising rather than playing songs. My question is, I like improvising rather than playing songs and composition. Okay, that it depends on where you want to go with the music as a musician as to whether that's a problem or not. Actually, in general, it's not a problem. If you like to improvise, that's a really cool skill to have, whether you want to read sheet music or not. I still recommend you learn. You kind of spend time developing your improvisation skills, but you also spend equal time, developing your ability to read sheet music, sight reading, playing, classical pieces that will really enhance your piano technique. That's really what it's all about. Because by improvising, sure, that is a piano technique, but you might be missing out on some of the other piano techniques. So try to achieve a balance, but if you want to go more towards the improvisation side of things, I don't see any problem with that at all. That's really cool. Okay, let's get back to the questions here. Okay, what's the meaning of DIM? That's diminished. So a diminished chord is you start on a note. Let me show everybody here. So you hit, say we have C diminished. You hit C. You go up 3 half steps. 1, 2, 3. That would be E flat. And then 3 half steps from there. 1, 2, 3. So 3 and 3. And when you play that, that's a diminished chord. So if you ever see if it says A DIM, that's an A diminished chord. Okay, let's take some more questions here. We have some great ones coming in. How should I learn improvisation in piano? Well, what I would first do is I would go to the channel page and look up this lesson. It's actually, we did this very recently. It's right here. We did it 2 weeks ago. It's called The Easiest Piano Improvisation Exercise for Beginners. I recommend you do that first because it's a great first improvisation exercise for you to do, and by doing this you're learning not only about how to move between one chord and the other, but also how to improvise using a very limited set of notes. So I highly recommend you check out that first. In terms of that, we're going to have more improvisation lessons coming in the near future, since I have been getting some questions about those. So look out for that. There's also an improvisation course over on my website. There's actually 2. There's one called Improvisation with Blues and then Improvisation with Theory. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So let me take us over there. So if you don't know, I have a website, pianolessonsontheweb.com. Now I highly recommend, regardless, you go over here, watch the video, read about it, and see how it can help you learn a lot more about piano and music. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in a second, but I want to talk about the courses here that I'm referencing. So if you click on music courses, and we're clicking on improvisation. So there's 2 courses here, improv using blues. So I basically teach in this course how to play my blues improvisation, which I've played many times during the live stream. So that's what I show you basically on how to do. You might not be that good in a short amount of time. It took me a long time to figure out how to do it like that, but I generally teach you how to get from the beginning stages to there, and this course is mainly centered around using a scale up top to develop your melody, and then a chord progression, walking bass, things like that. A lot of things there. By the way, if you use code YouTube, you can get 15% off any selection of courses. So here we go. Let's go. All right, so check those out, but I recommend you at least check out that YouTube video if you haven't seen it yet. So Varun says, yeah, I knew about that. I've been following you for a long time. Thank you. Much respect, sir. All right. Thank you very much, Varun. I really appreciate that. Let's see. Yusuf says, why not create lessons for masters? So that's what I hope to do. So what happened was, if you've been following me for a long time or you've been in the live streams, you know that I've had some deaths in the family this year. They all just lined up right in a row. Pretty horrible. And I haven't been able to work on things as much as I had hoped. I'm actually really getting back into the swing of things with the YouTube channel finally. But I haven't been able to make as many courses on the website as I would like. So I'd like to start making some courses more on the advanced side of things. There are some courses already, quite a few actually, that are on the more advanced side, but I do hope to kind of make more on that end. So if you take a look here, let me show you. So back on my website, if you go to the Buy Courses page, there's course packs, and there's the advanced pack, and you can see that it comes with 7 courses here. So I have 7 courses that I consider to be on the more advanced side, whether you're learning, piano or music theory. But I do plan on making a lot more. Okay, let's see here. How do you read key signatures and how to keep them in when I'm playing them? I know somewhat about them, but not much. Okay, I have a lesson I want to send you to because I feel like I've spent a lot of time on that lesson. It's probably one of my best lessons here on YouTube. Let's take a look here, and it can explain it better than I can right now because, like I said, it's constructed for this purpose. So what I recommend... Oops. Okay, if you type in circle of fifths and then my name, lessons on the web, or the channel's name, actually if you type in circle of fifths, this will appear up towards the top. It's called How to Master the Circle of Fifths and Your Key Signatures in One Easy Lesson. I really highly recommend you check that out. It's one of my best lessons. A lot of people have really mastered their key signatures thanks to this. Rich has, who's in the live stream today. So he's used this lesson as well, and I do get a lot of good feedback about it. So if you're looking to master key signatures, highly recommend you check that one out. You won't be sorry. All right. If I have a melody in the right hand, how can I find fitting chords for the left hand? Greetings from Germany. Love your vids. Thank you very much. Zapzarap TV says, if I have a melody in the right hand, how can I find the fitting chords for the left hand? We're going to actually talk more about this. I do have a lesson on this, actually. I don't remember what it's called, though. I made it a long time ago, and I really need to make an update lesson. But let me show you now a little bit, give you a feel for it. So if I have, say I have Jingle Bells, and I need to find the fitting chords for it. Well, Jingle Bells, at least the version I play, I know is in the key of C. There's no sharps, no flats. So most of the time when you're in a certain key, the first chord of the piece is going to be whatever key you're in. So if you're in the key of C major, your first chord to play, I would say, is probably a C major 95% of the time. What you want to do, other than that, other than looking at the key signature, and say it didn't start with the first chord, started with something else, well, what you want to do is you want to say, all right, what notes are being hit in the melody? So if I take a look, I'm mostly hitting an E, a G, and a C. And when I play all those together, it makes a C chord. So if I play a C chord with it, it works out just fine. So basically what you want to do, the rule of thumb that will get you very far in this, is look at the notes in the right, being played in the right hand. Find a chord that has anywhere between one or all three, or as many of the notes of the chord as possible, or that you're playing in your right hand, and try to fit it to this. There's some trial and error to this. So say I take a look and I'm like, all right, my first note is an E. Well, hey, an A minor chord has an E in it, and it also has a C in it. So it has 2 of the notes that I need. Let me try it out. It actually doesn't sound too bad. However, because it's a minor chord, it conflicts with the nature of the song, because the C major obviously works a lot better because Jingle Bells is a happier song, and then you have that major chord. And also, this chord is a better choice, the C major rather than the A minor, is because we have all 3 of those notes that we're playing. The notes that happen up top in the melody that belong to the chord below are called the chord tones. So what you want to do is you want to find a chord with as many of the chord tones being played in the right hand as possible, and that will help you make better decisions when it comes to coming up with chords for these. So here we go. Let me continue with this. And see, now I'm playing an F up here, my right hand. Well, a C major chord no longer makes any sense because none of those notes fall under F, right? What could make sense is maybe a D minor chord. A D minor chord has DFA. There's F up there. That kind of works, right? But again, we run into the problem because it's a minor chord in a major song. So how about F major? Oops, let me play it down here. Hey, that doesn't sound too bad. And then I'm playing mostly D and G, so how about I look for a chord with both D and G in it? Well, how about a G major? It has a G and D in it. Whoops. And hey, there you go. It works out fine. So remember, whatever chord you pick should have as many of the notes in the right hand in it as possible. Like when we had the F and we had a C major chord below, as you can tell, that clashes, and that's because F doesn't belong in the key of C major. So it's either going to be a D minor, it could be a B diminished, which works out okay, but the more notes you can have in the left hand that are also in the right hand, the better. Okay, let's take a look here. Wait a second, what's a key signature? So check out that lesson I recommended earlier. I actually still have it up here. The how to master your circle of fifths and your key signatures. What a key signature is, let me show you. Oh, it might not work. Oh, it did work. Weird. Okay. Odd. Okay. So, what a key signature is, say I take this and I change it to, something with a sharp in it. So key signatures generally happen in the very beginning of a piece. They can change in the middle. But what they are is it's a combination of sharps or flats that tell you what sharps or flats are sharp or flat throughout that whole song. So what this is telling me, so say I have the sharp right here, right? Well, if I had a note right where that it was, right where the middle of that is, what note would that be? Well, that would be F, right? That's the top line of the treble clef. That tells me that every F in the whole song is going to be sharped, no matter what, unless it has a natural next to it. That makes it a regular F again. So it doesn't matter what line or space it's on, it's going to be sharped. So that's a key signature. Tells you what notes are sharped or flat throughout a song. You can have ones with flats. You won't have key signatures with sharps and flats. It's either sharps or flats. This one has 3 flats, and this tells me that the notes B, E, and A are flat throughout the whole song, unless it changes. Okay. What exactly the circle of fifths does. So a circle of fifths, I'll get to some of the, I realize I missed some of the other questions, but I'll get to that in a second since this one is pretty relevant to what we're talking about right now. So we have the circle of fifths basically is showing you that if you start at C major, that's 0 sharp, 0 flats. The next key with 1 sharp is 5 notes away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the one with 1 sharp. That's G major. The next one with 2 sharps, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is 5 away. But a circle of fifths, put it into a diagram, is a pretty standard thing. It looks like this. It actually looks exactly like my thumbnail here, because that background for the thumbnail is actually the diagram for the circle of fifths. So that's what it's going to look like. So you can look up on Google. And what these are used for is to help you memorize your key signatures or as a reference on figuring out what key you're in. So say I take a look here And this is how it works. So say I have this key signature right here with a 1 sharp. I can't really show you that well. Oh, there's the hand. So I'm looking with 1 sharp. The diagram tells me it's either G major or E minor, since every key signature has a major and a minor equivalent to it. So that's what a circle of fifths is. Okay, here we go. Rich is coming in with the questions. Let's take a look here. Let's see. Hello, sir. Abukun says, hello, sir. Thank you for doing this. Your lessons are so helpful, and I don't feel like I would give up like I did in the past. Well, thank you so much. That means a lot to me, of course. That's amazing. Let's see. Okay. Thanks so much, says Kitty Cub 16. You do a wonderful job at teaching. Could you link the videos you talk about in the description so it'd be easy to find them? Yes, I can do that. I don't think I can do that during the lesson. Maybe I can. Let's see here. Let me link those up for you. So I'm not going anywhere, everybody. I'm just kind of going over here. So feel free to let me know your questions while I get everybody some links here. Here we go. So let's go here. Okay, I'm still here. In case you're just tuning in, you're wondering what's going on. So I'm getting some links for the students here in the classroom. The things I talked about today. So let me get you some of these. Fifths. Okay. Okay, there's that one. Okay, so while I'm doing this, feel free to let me know any of the questions that you have. I am editing the description as we speak from this discussion. Okay, so I got the Circle of Fifths video in there. What other video did I direct you to? I don't remember. So let me know in the comments, because I'm trying to remember. But any of the ones I forget, once I do the recording, I will add those in there. All right, let's see what questions we have here. Tell us about the double sharp, says Varun. So, okay, we can do that. Not a problem. So what a double sharp or a double flat is, let me show you that, is say I have this note right here. I have F. Oops. So I have F. And then say I have F sharp. So there's F sharp. We know how to play F sharp. You know, you go to F, you go up one. Here, let me change it to this. This works out a little bit better. So you go F, and then you go up 1/2 step. That's F sharp. Now, what is a double sharp? Here it is. A double sharp doesn't look like two sharps like you would think. It looks like a weird X, and that is a double sharp. So all a double sharp is instead of going up 1 sharp, you go up 2. Instead of going up a 1/2 step, you go up a whole step. So you go F, F sharp, F double sharp. And they're mostly used to tell you about chords that have a raised note in them. So the weird thing to know about chords, let me think of a good one here. So you may be asking, you know, why F double sharp, why not G? So let me see here. Okay, so say you have a B major chord. So any B chord, no matter whether it's B major, B minor, or B diminished, has to have these 3 notes in it. It has to have a B of some kind, has to have a D of some kind, and it has to have an F of some kind. So when I have B major, I have B, D sharp, F sharp. What if I have B augmented, where we move the top note up a 1/2 step? Now is it B? Now remember, it has to have a B, D, and F of some kind. So I have B, E sharp, and then this note right here, even though it looks like G, is actually F double sharp. So that's why the double sharp exists. How about a double flat? Well, a double flat, right, has to have some sort of weird symbol to it, right? It can't just look like a double flat. And of course, there you go. Doesn't work. Anywho, I don't know why it's not working for me right now, but a double flat is literally a double flat. It's a flat next to another flat. Now, the reason that I think a double sharp is an X instead of two sharps next to each other, which would make more sense, is because a sharp is a little bit wider since it has like those parts sticking out of it. This is basically the number sign, the pound sign. So to have two of those next to each other, I think creates too much of a space. So they just put an X there. Okay, let's take a look here. Hopefully that helped you out. There's two Varoons today. Could I explain how the 13th chords are structured, so how to build them? Okay, I'm going to go into this really quick. Let's talk about this really quick, and then I'll answer some of the other questions. So 13th chords. What you have to know is that a 13th is 13 notes away from whatever note you started on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And a 13th chord has to have a 13th in it. So say you have a C13, you're going to be playing a C major triad, and then you just have to have an A added. Sometimes the A is literally the 13th above, but sometimes it's moved down an octave for different types of voicings and things like that. I'm not going to get into that right now, but that's how you make the most basic form of a 13th chord. There's also, it's pretty common to also have the 7th in there. Usually I think the major 7th works a little bit better there. So that's the most basic explanation I can give you of a 13th chord, because I am going to make a lesson on this where I go into it with a little bit more detail. All right, let's take a look here, see if I lost anybody here. Rich says, I learned from Tim. Thank you, Rich. And he did explain the circle of fifths for us, so thank you very much. And then we have Zap Zarat. Please do more of these live streams. I don't know if you did them earlier because I'm one of the newer subscribers, because those streams really help to learn piano. Well, thank you so much. We do have live streams regularly. We have them on Fridays and Sundays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you want to look that up on Google, whatever time zone you may be in, translated to Eastern Standard Time. But that's when we meet, and then the lessons that come out on the channel are actually the recordings from those live streams. So you'll have a lesson portion, and then you'll have a Q&A similar to what we have now, where we have a class discussion about it. It's really neat, and I hope you can make it to those. But if not, the recording will be out there for you. So happy that you're here with us as a new subscriber. Okay, sir, how to sing and play piano at the same time. That one I'm going to have to make a lesson on altogether. Generally, you want to be playing chords with your left and right hand, and then you want to, sing the melody up top. I'm not going to do it today because, like I said, I really would have to think about this ahead of time to give you a clear explanation. But basically what I would do is I would learn the piano part first, and then I would learn the singing part by itself, but you can play along with the piano. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. And then when you're really comfortable with the notes, you can take that part out. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. It wasn't perfect, but I was able to do it because I have the tune in my head up there. So that's real quick how I would approach something like that. Really good question. All right, could you explain? Okay, did that one. Varun says, I'm thinking of upgrading my keyboard because I'm learning composition and how to orchestrate at the same time, orchestration, in spare time. If possible, do you recommend a few keyboards which has sound quality? It can be used as my DAW, which is like that graphic thing that you compose music on. Let's see here. Yes. So let me link you to another lesson of mine. Hold on, everybody. This will take a second or two. Probably just a second. Okay. We did this one pretty recently, but let me bring it up for you. And based on, what your budget is and things like that and what you're looking for. So I highly recommend you check that out. And let me just add that to the description of this video real quick. Hold on, everybody. Okay, almost there. Okay, there we go. We got it. Okay, let's take a look here. Get them at sweetwatermusic.com. You can do that. Oh, the Roland FA08 uses Cubase 9 Pro. Very nice. What kind of DAW do you use, Varun? Cubase 9, Pro Tools, or something else? Sir, I'm a big fan from India. Thank you very much, Varun. So glad to have you with us today. I hate double sharps and double flats, says Rich. He says it's so unnecessary. All right, and then we have a question up here that I missed. Okay. What programs are you using when you show the clefs? I'm using StaffPad, so that's called StaffPad, and it's mostly for Windows tablets and laptops and things like that, but it's really, really good. Can you please tell me how my fingerings write while playing? I always tend to not use my pinky finger when playing because it feels like a weak finger. So yeah, luckily the pinky finger isn't used a whole lot. I have another lesson for you called the keyboard by, or not, that's the one I just did. Called, let's see here, the fingering, let me see, fingering. Do you think I should go more into to the theory and should learn a lot more from your videos, or should I practice more difficult songs so I'm learning new stuff while I learn new songs, because I just have more fun with playing the piano instead of learning just some other stuff and never come to really playing? So you want to focus in on your piano practice. So it is good to play things that you want to play. That's part of the whole experience, really. If you're not enjoying yourself, then you're doing things wrong a little bit. But that doesn't mean that you should totally neglect the other things you should be learning. You should definitely be learning music theory. Do not skimp out on the music theory, because music theory, as you find as you learn it, and ear training too, will actually help you play more difficult piano pieces. I think I got it. And then yeah, so have a balance of things you want to play and things you should be learning. So you should be learning pieces that are a little bit just outside of your comfort zone, where they teach you new things. Like, say you've never played a piece with trills in it before. Well, then you want to find a piece with trills in it that you can tackle and do from there. You don't want to be playing the same types of pieces all the time, but it is a good idea to practice things that you like to practice, since that that kind of makes things worth doing, in my opinion. All right, hold on, everybody. Let's see here. Okay, how do you figure out what level of playing you are? That's a good question. If, how do I put this? It depends on how long you've been playing, probably, is probably the biggest indicator. So if you've only been playing a few months, unless you're especially gifted, you're probably still a beginner. And so if you can play, if you can only play things hands separate, you're still definitely a beginner. If you can play simple music hands together, you're still considered a beginner. What I would do is, in terms of what level you are, it all depends on the last song that you were able to play successfully. So if you're able to learn, for release successfully, then you can probably learn a piece that's similar in difficulty. So you want to look at the sheet music of both, say, okay, is this new one doing something that is way beyond my level? Does it have rhythms and things that confuse me that I'll just never get? Then you probably want to shy away from that one. But if it's similar and you're thinking, if I can learn for release, I can learn, the Pathétique movement 2. That's fairly similar in difficulty level, then go from there. So it all really depends on the last piece you were able to successfully play and master. Okay, we're getting a lot of great questions here. My parents got for me for Christmas. Okay, I got to that one. They cost. Okay, you're talking about keyboards. How do you figure out what level playing you are? Let's see, sir. Any exercise for fingers to play with these? I'm always confused with which finger to use to play a note, and it gets all weird, Okay, Mega V, welcome to the classroom, first of all. And second of all, what I would start out by doing is learning your scales. And let me show you a good resource to learn your scales from. So just give me a second here. Okay, so here we go. So on YouTube, search scales and arpeggios, and they will give you all of the scales and arpeggios and the fingering to use for those. This is where I would start in terms of exercises to develop your piano fingering, because the fingering that you use in a scale is designed in a way to help you play maximum efficiency. You get up to the top note and down to the bottom note without running out of fingers and feeling all awkward. So scales is a huge one because a lot of scale passages show up in the sheet music we play. And so if I have a string of notes that is the C major scale, I'm going to use the C major scale fingering because that is by far the most effective. So that's what I recommend for that. Okay, let's take a look here. What is the name of the piece I just played? I tried to search it up, but I don't know how. So if you type in Beethoven, Beethoven, and type in Furelise, Furelise, that's this piece, if that's what you're talking about. If you're talking about this piece that I played for a second, that's the Pathétique Sonata. Let me see. Pathétique, Pathétique Sonata by Beethoven. And it's the second movement of that sonata. Okay, getting a lot of great questions here. Yusuf says, I've been playing for 1 year now, and I am a master. And now I'm a master. Wow. However, my friend plays the piano for 6 years, and he is a professional. Yes. So some people it takes a lot more time than others, for sure. I would say 1 or 6 years is a pretty short amount of time to be a professional. That's pretty good. Jazz progressions are 2-5-1. Are there any other jazz progressions? Yes. You can obviously substitute. Actually, this is a pretty loaded question. But you can substitute those chords with a lot of other chords. So let me think about this. I don't, I'd have to read up on this again, just to kind of refresh, because from what I remember, okay. You can learn about chord substitutions. That's what I recommend you do next, is how to replace one chord with another, because the 2-5-1 is a really good structure for jazz. But you can replace those chords with a lot of other things. You can have like 2-7 diminished. 1 sounds pretty similar. So you want to read about those. You also want to learn about secondary dominants. I'm not going to get into that today. for sure. So you'd have 2, and then so 2. Let's see, secondary dominant would be a D major there. So look those up. Okay, let's take a look here. Zap Zarap says, how can I fill in some empty parts in a song except with arpeggios or fast runs on the piano so it just sounds way better? Like Peter Bentz, don't know if you know him. You should check him out. Yeah, I'd have to take a look to see exactly what you're talking about. Arpeggios and the runs and fills are generally what you want to do. I mean, you can get creative with your arpeggios. So instead of just playing them notes separate like you do, you can maybe make up, depending on what the style of the song is. So there, I just improvised a little bit, and instead of just playing the arpeggios separately, I combined the note, like I had the bottom note, and I added a little rhythm to them. So that's, I guess, another idea you can do is instead of playing the chords just as one chord or arpeggios plainly, find a rhythm to set with them or play them in an order that fits the style of the song you're playing. Okay, let's take a look here. Great questions coming in. And then I think I'm going to cap it off here, the next couple questions, mainly because my voice is getting tired from explaining all this. But like I said, it's very helpful for the community. So of course I'd do it. Let's take a look here. Does fingerings change depending on scale? Yes. Sorry I haven't gotten far in your videos. You've probably already mentioned it. Yeah. So, Ibu-kun. So, the fingerings do change for scale. However, there's many scales that use the same. So, same fingering. So, once you learn C major, G major is the same, D major is the same, A major is the same, E major is the same, B major is different with the left hand. So, a lot of them are the same, but there are a lot that are different as well. Okay, let's see. Kitty Cub says, thanks for all the answers to my questions. I hope I ain't asking too many. But another question is, how do you keep from getting nervous when playing in front of people? I get so nervous. The number one way to get better at that is by doing it more. I know it's probably not what you wanted to hear. And then also visualizing in your mind. You know, everybody says they visualize people in their underwear. I've never found that effective. But I've always just tried to make the mindset that, you know, I'm just going to play and try to ignore everybody else as much as possible. I'm going to try to play like I would if I was just practicing on my own. And a lot of the fear and nervousness comes from overthinking. At least it does with me. I think, oh, what are these people thinking? And, you know, are they going to be judging me and all that? And the more you start thinking that way, the more nervous you're going to be. So the big key is trying to blank out your mind from all of that. It takes a lot of practice, and no matter how good you get at it, I think you'll always still be a little bit nervous, but it does get easier the more you do it. Okay. Since now digital keyboards have transpose, is it necessary to learn all the scales? Yes. No one won't notice. Same result, less effort. So I know you're joking a little bit because while that would technically kind of work, now don't get me wrong, the transpose function would be it would be really useful if you're playing in a band and say you're a very beginner, right? And you don't know how to play in those other keys and you have to do it on the fly, then yeah, the transpose button would do you some service, but do not take the easy way out. You really want to learn your key signatures and everything because as you play more and more advanced music, it's going to be hard for you to translate everything into the key of C and then transpose it using the keyboard. You want to actually be able to transpose on the fly using your brain. And that way, if you don't have a keyword that does that, you can still do it as well. But learning the sharps or flats in each key gives you a really good idea on how that key is laid out and how the chords are constructed. So it's very, very, very important. Don't skip out on that. Yes, yoga and meditation are very useful for clearing your mind. I do meditate a little bit before I go on stage. You know, controlling my breathing and things like that. Taking slow, deep breaths and then exhaling, softly and calmly will help clear your mind as well. Great tip. All right, thank you. You are awesome. Thank you so much. Follow the previous question. I use 1, 2, 4, right triad. Is that good? Is that a norm for standard for fingering? Yeah. So root positions 1, 3, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1, 3, 5, and then 1, 3, 5. Okay, here we go. Sorry, I got to go. Varun says, I have exams tomorrow. Thank you, sir. Love your videos. It is helping me learn a lot of playing piano. Thank you so much for coming out today. It was a great discussion we all had today. Glad you can make it. And then, okay, let's see. What was your most difficult, coolest song you've ever played? I did learn the whole Pathetique Sonata one time, but I definitely do not have it memorized still. Varun says, not really. Okay, I'm not sure what you're commenting on there. Let's see. Do you have any tips using the pedal? Aaron keeps telling me that your ear tells you when to change the pedal, but that's too vague. You want to change pedal every time the chord changes. So when I'm playing for Elise, I can keep it held down here because this is all the same chord. And now the chord's changing right here. So I popped up the pedal real quick. And then it changes again there. So every time the chord changes is when you want to pop up that pedal and change pedals. Okay, everybody. I think I have to cut it off there. Let's see. I know you said every chord change, but sometimes I need to change it before that. So if you have a long run of a single chord, what do you think about what that would be? So that was all the same chord, but as you can see, as I got up the piano and held the pedal down, it did get really muddy. So every once in a while, you do want to do it between chords. I'm gonna have to make a lesson just on that one. What if you're playing eighth notes on each hand? Well, if you're playing eighth notes on each hand, you still have a chord going on, so you can change it between chords there. We're going to go over how to, this is a lesson coming up the next couple weeks, on how to figure out what chords you're playing given the sheet music, because a lot of times, obviously, we've talked about before, the chords don't appear as block chords like they normally do. But we're going to have a lesson on that soon. So remind me in a couple of weeks, you can look at the calendar when we're talking about that, and we'll address this again because that would fit a lot better with this lesson. Varun says, bye, TC. Well, bye-bye. Have a great one. Thank you for coming today. Thanks again, sir, says Ibu-kun. So if you really liked the lesson, if you felt like you learned something for our discussion today, leave a super chat. It really helps things go here with the channel and helps me build things into even better, put more and more resources back into the channel. If you want to leave me a little tip for today, the super chat is the way to do it. One thing I want to really tell you about is this. Let me go here. All right, Rich says thanks a lot. Yeah, just remind me again, Rich, and we'll tackle it then because I think it will really fit into that discussion really well. Okay, so I have a website, pianolessonsontheweb.com, where I have courses I've made. So if you like the videos that you see here on YouTube and you're looking to learn more, much more, you want to head over there because in these 25 courses I've made, they have the same types of videos you like from the channel, but not only that. First of all, the videos cover a great review for beginners, so if you haven't seen all my YouTube stuff yet, it's great for that. But it also covers intermediate and advanced topics that I probably will never cover here on the channel, at least in not as much detail. And not only do you get videos, you get printable sheet music examples, you get real songs to play, you get, a lot of things to really enhance your learning. So I really highly recommend you go to pianolessonsontheweb.com and read all about it. If you want to buy the courses, obviously you go to the Buy Courses page. A little tip for you, if you use the code YouTube during checkout, you can get 15% off any course or any course pack. As you can see, the courses come in course packs. You can buy them individually as well, but you get a pretty good discount for buying them in a pack. So, you know, if you're the beginner's pack for $39.99, you get 4 courses. Normally, courses are $29.99 a course. So, getting 4 of them for $39.99 is a pretty good deal. And then use that code YouTube. You get a little, you know, another 15% off of that. You can see the intermediate and advanced packs are a bit more, but if you look, they come with a lot more courses. The advanced pack comes with 7. I believe the intermediate pack comes with 9, so you get even more there. And they're a lot more in depth, so there's a lot of content here to keep you learning for a long time. And then, of course, you can buy all of them together for a good deal there. The beginners, intermediate, and advanced courses. So I highly recommend just going over there, reading about it, checking it out. Let me know any questions you have. Tim@lessonsontheweb.com, and I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. So let's go back to the thing. Oh, Yusuf says donating is not allowed in my area. So if you go to patreon.com/lessonsontheweb, you can donate there if you want. Let's take a look here. Okay, thank you very much. You have helped me today a lot. Definitely coming back to the next live stream, but I have to go now. But all right, thank you very much for coming, Zap Zapparap. If I think I put too many zaps in there. Zap Zarat. There you go. Thanks for coming out today. You're awesome. Such amazing lessons. No questions. You have helped me since I got my second keyboard at 15. Keep up the amazing lessons. Thanks. Thank you, Kitty Cub. Thanks for coming out today. And then we got a question here from Yusuf. What should you do if you hit the wrong note in front of many people? Keep going. Try. Don't acknowledge that you hit the wrong note. Just keep going. Oh man, donating isn't allowed. Okay, I got to that one already. So yeah, if you want to check out the Patreon page, you can do that, Yusuf, if you are interested in donating. But if not, you know, it's totally cool with me as well. Okay, everybody, let me link you to my website really quick. I'll link you to the website and then the Patreon as well. So there you go. So if you're interested in donating or you want to take a look at the courses I have to offer, there are the links for you to use there. All right, everybody, I'm running out of steam for today. There was a lot of talking, answering your questions, but I was so happy to do it because we've once again come together as an awesome classroom here on YouTube and really learned together. Remember to subscribe and hit that bell to make sure that you get the updates on when we're meeting live. That's the biggest thing. I want everybody to come out to that if you're able to. But also when we have our, or when the recordings come out as well, YouTube will let you know about that so you can get all the latest updates. I want to thank Ibukun for the super chat. Thank you so much. Really helps out the channel, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Man, you must get like a minimum of 100K subs. I agree. I really want 100,000 subs, and not that it really means anything other than we have a lot of students on the channel. That's one thing it would mean. But it's just a goal I've had for a while. We're almost there. We're almost at 50K. And we're growing a bit better now since the summer has started, because a lot of times when people are getting out of school and there's Memorial Day and things over here in the United States, the YouTube viewership drops quite a bit. So our subscribers were dropping a little bit, but they are coming strong. But like I said, it's not about subscribers. It's more about the students that each of those subscribers are, since subscribers, for the most part, are real people. And it's all about helping those real people learn real music here online. So that's really why I want 100,000, because then it's 100,000 students would be really cool. What if you hit more than 2 notes at the same time? Well, you should just still keep going, Yusuf. Keep going no matter what. We don't need any more, but my student loans are running low. Okay, so yeah, of course, Ibukun. So, you know, take care of your student loans first, of course. But I genuinely appreciate your channel. We'll definitely be investing in you on your website packages. Thank you very much, Ibukun. I really appreciate it. Remember, put yourself first and your student loans first, because that's very important. I have a lot of friends who have had to deal with student loans, and they are very hard to keep behind, keep up with the payments and things like that. So I appreciate anything you can give, and no hurry on signing up for the course packages. But I really, really appreciate that. That's great. Okay, everybody, I had a lot of fun today. I think it's been a great lesson with a lot of great questions asked, a lot of great questions answered. This has been Tim from Lessons on the Web. Thank you so much for being a part of our classroom so that we can all come together and learn, and so you can accomplish something that's important to you, which is learning how to play piano and learning how to be a musician. So thank you so much, and I'll check you out for Friday's live stream. So talk to you soon, and once again, thank you so much. Have a great week.